retailers are kind of like blood-sucking mosquitoes in your life. Right now, I am a retailer, remember. Right now, your phone, your laptop, your inbox, they're all filled with hundreds of irrelevant messages from multiple different shops, all begging you to buy. And when you finally give in and you do buy, your purchase journey is filled with nothing but friction. UX, inventory, product availability, pricing, shipping, and dreaded returns policies. We're on the path as a retailer from being a parasite and a mosquito in your life to a pollinator. I'm Devin. I work for a company called Pepkor. I'm from South Africa, as you might already be able to hear. I'm not from one of the pristine coastal towns or the unspoilt wilderness areas you might have heard of. I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, just put your hands up, say that's not a thing, and we'll figure it out together. Also, that headshot, that bloody headshot, that was taken 2 CDP implementations ago. So if you don't want to age like that, listen to my mistakes so that you can learn from them. What is Pepkor? Pepkor is a multidisciplinary retailer in Sub-Saharan Africa and South America. We have about 6,500 physical stores, and we sell 13.5 million cellular handsets in a single year. We're powering the next phase of Africa's digital revolution in the process. We do the same things that you do, we're just doing them in South Africa. I manage a couple of different teams in the organization, all in the digital and e-commerce space. Digital marketing, customer data, web design, e-commerce logistics, digital analytics, and retail media. So the reality of retail in our market is one that's generally challenging. In terms of business realities, some of these are very different to the challenges that a retailer would experience in a first world economy. Government mismanagement, high unemployment, a sluggish economy, crime and security challenges, as well as aging infrastructure. These all add to the challenge of our operations on a daily basis. The customer realities that we deal with, though, are pretty similar to the ones that you would experience. Lack of legacy customers, no loyalty, income challenges, no consumer safety nets, and extreme price sensitivities. Our customers will leave us if another retailer sells the same product for a single dollar less. Africa doesn't build comfort, it builds character. I was sitting with the Amperity team in a workshop a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at hundreds of different use cases that we've implemented with the platform. We were also looking at a bunch that we want to do going forward. They'd heard a lot of these use cases in the past, but one raised their eyebrows. This was our hijacking use case. This happens when a truck carrying hundreds of customer orders is hijacked and all of those orders are lost. Those customers have expectations in terms of fulfillment on their order and they don't want excuses. So what do we do about it? We programmatically identify every order that's been impacted as part of the hijacking process. We then use our tools, including Amperity, to automatically and programmatically communicate with every customer that's been affected by the incident. After that, we source new stock for them, and then we use our tools to manage their expectations and prevent further disappointment. We back this up with a human call center in case they have further queries or concerns. So we operate in a challenging environment, but our head is in the game, and we are ruthlessly focused on taking market share away from our competitors. In a market where e-commerce typically runs at a loss, I can't tell you how proud I am to tell you that we run an independently profitable and rapidly scaling e-commerce business alongside our profitable store business despite challenging circumstances. If you're considering Amperity or you've bought it already, I want to urge you not to implement it in a single silo or to focus just on its marketing or customer data attributes. This is the biggest mistake that I made during my first CDP implementation. You need to look at this as a cross-functional implementation across all the different categories and departments in your business, and you need to make sure, let's go back there, you need to make sure that it's driving each specific sphere of your corporate strategy, not just your marketing or customer data ones. So I want to take you through our strategy so that I can explain how Amperity is functioning in this cross-functional manner. If you work for us, you wake up and you come to work every morning because you want delighted and repeat customers, product leadership, high performance, engaged employees, leading edge technology, and operational efficiency from every person, every team, every system, every day. So let's unpack the strategy. And I'll start with delighted and repeat customers. Now, this is the obvious sort of use case for a CDP. It's probably the first reason that most businesses would consider it. And of course, in this, I'm going to talk about customer experience optimization or customer journeys. But I don't want to just sound like another suit on stage talking about these things. Yes, it's great to understand the logic and the automation capabilities that our tools have, but if we don't focus on the inherent human nature of the needs that we're addressing with these tools, then their impact is lost. And as a result, I want to take you through 2 case studies. Both of these were performed in 2024 with the use of Amperity. I want to show you what the actual impact of this tech was on our business. The first one involves probably our most boring product, printer ink. Nobody is getting super excited or inspired by a TikTok video on printer ink. No one's clicking on an ad or switching retailers because they have amazing ink. It's boring, it's a grudge purchase. You don't need it until 2 a.m. on the night before your child's school project is due and your printer isn't working, right? And this situation meant that it was a very difficult product for us to advertise and monetize. Our campaigns were previously running at around a 3x ROAS. For a product that has between 15 and 20% margin, the marketers in here will quickly be able to work out that those campaigns were not breaking even or making profit. So we needed to do something about it. So we matched the ink products that we have in our business with the exact model of printer that customers have bought to make sure that they were advertised relevant ink products. We waited 120 days after each customer bought their printer so that we didn't irritate them by marketing to them too soon. And then we started advertising ink that was relevant to their printer. When they bought the ink, we used that timing indicator to calculate their individual replacement timelines so that going forward, we were able to advertise the right ink for their printer to them at a time when they would actually need it, when they would likely to be running low on ink. So the right product to the right customer at the right time. And the results speak for themselves. ROAS went from 3 to 37 overnight. And I want to highlight with these campaigns that we weren't offering a discount on the product. That's previously the only way we'd been able to sell it. So in the process of additional volumes and additional relevance and reduced customer irritation, we also achieved additional profitability from this use case. The next use case I want to take you through is a retail media one because Amperity has also unlocked incremental value in the retail media space for us. I don't want to just focus on gaining additional cash from our suppliers because that really isn't the only focus of our retail media. We want to make sure that our customers win, our clients win, and we do as well in the process. Apple is one of our biggest retail media customers. And in our market, like many, one of their key objectives is to switch customers from using PCs to Mac. We were running the same messaging as multiple different retailers in our market, which explained to customers that Microsoft Office runs just as well on Mac. The problem with that, in my head, was that Windows machines and PCs run Office really well. So there are a lot of different reasons that a customer would want to buy a Mac. But these reasons are not going to translate to action unless they deliver it at the time when it matters. So things like design, performance, AI compatibility, status, longevity, and durability are all reasons that a customer would buy this product. But if they're not delivered at the right time, they're meaningless. Think about your own purchase journey. If you've just spent money on a new PC and it's sitting on your desk, it doesn't matter how great we make the Mac look. You're not in the market and you're not going to buy. So what did we do? We took customers who'd bought Windows and PC products from us in our business, and we calculated the individual replacement cycles for different brands of laptops. So we were able to determine that the laptop you had bought would be likely to slow down or break at a specific period that was relevant to you. We only targeted you with Mac switcher messaging at the point at which that product was likely to slow down and break. And then at that point, we tested all of the different messaging metrics that I've just spoken to you about so that we could determine the right message for the right customer at the right time. And these results also spoke for themselves. Click-through rates on these ads jumped by 7 times, and the campaign achieved one of the highest ROAS percentages of Apple retail media in our business. This is a great example of the tool working for all different parties at the same time. Customers got more relevant ads, the retail media customer got additional sales, and we got additional profitability and income as a result of it. The next phase of our strategy is product leadership. And most people think here that we're just going to talk about merchandising. But we're actually going to talk about the way in which marketing and customer data teams can work with merchandisers to sell better products. Now, around a year ago, my team started working on a predictive model. This was done in a Google Sheet. It was relatively rudimentary. We looked at different attributes that would influence the way a product sold in future so that we could source and plan better. We looked at things like our stock cover, our stock turn, current inventory on hand, pricing, promotions, customer demand, historical demand, and purchase events like Black Friday. We assigned each event an individual weighting in the overall formula, and then we let the formula run, and in future, as we got real sales data, we refined the weightings of those different events and attributes. That report has now become an agent in Gemini that different members of our business can ask questions to and glean insights from, but Amperity isn't involved yet. Amperity is going to be involved in the future, because overlaying customer need state and life stage data with our existing product performance data is the way in which we're going to forecast and plan strategically in the future. So the next phase of this project is starting to understand that the first-time home buyer of today is actually the first-time parent of tomorrow, and a future potential retiree or college entrant, whatever it might be. All of those life stages and their future life stages influence the way that we should be planning and merchandising in our business. The next part of the strategy is high-performance, engaged employees. And here you might think that I'm going to speak to you about the ways in which we technically upskill our staff to use Amperity, but it's a lot bigger than that. You see, a year ago, our people were asking ChatGPT what to make for dinner. Now, they're building their own workflows, creating their own agents, and gleaming insights from data that teams of consultants or data scientists would previously be necessary for. It's only a matter of time before, as managers, we're sitting in front of one of our staff and they're asking the question, am I building this thing to replace me? Our answer to that question will test our mettle as managers and our character as humans. And the answer is probably yes. This thing is going to replace you in your current context. But the way in which we prepare you for your future career trajectory is everything at the moment. So it's not about teaching you to use a new system. It's about teaching you to glean human insights from that system. It's not about teaching you to put a strategy together. It's about teaching you how to implement that in a business context and operationalize it. And that's really the future of our engagement with our employees, not just on a tech perspective. The next phase of the strategy is leading edge technology. Like most retailers, we're really excited about agentic commerce at the moment. It's a really exciting roadmap. There are a lot of different players in the space at the moment. Everybody's launching protocols from one week to the next, and nobody knows who the dominant players are going to be. Because of this, we want to build a multi-cloud, multi-agent, protocol-agnostic enterprise architecture, which basically means that we want the freedom to scale and change in the future as technology changes with us. The way that Amperity fits into this is through its lakehouse, headless approach to data management. This basically means that any external system will be able to read or write data in Amperity as if it was just another cloud. That makes it really quick for us to integrate with new systems or providers when they become prominent in future, and it doesn't force us to commit to a single provider or stack right now. This is also true for our activation points. I was sitting with our previous CDP provider about 4 years ago. TikTok was the fastest growing social media channel in our market and globally. I was asking them to create a connector so that I could move customer data between the CDP and TikTok. It took them 4 months to build the connector. Hundreds of developers were involved, and in the process, we lost our first mover advantage in our market, which has cost us countless sales, but also customer engagements. I know that that's not going to happen to me again because of how quick, cheap, and easy it is for a new activation point to integrate with Amperity. And the final point in the strategy is operational efficiency. And there really is only one stat here. Before we started our personalized, targeted marketing strategy with Amperity, our tech brands used to print 72 million catalogs a year. There are only 60 million people in South Africa. In the 2 years In the 2 years that we've been running our new strategy, we've saved nearly 1 million trees, we've delivered more efficient marketing, we've responded to our customers' needs, and we've increased sales, revenue, and cooperation as a result. So you can probably see already that we're transforming our business from the mosquito in our customers' lives to the honeybee. So what's next? What's next is our agentic commerce strategy, and we're incredibly excited about what's going to happen over here. In this, we know that we've chosen the right CDP partner to scale and innovate into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. I will have Sarah come and join us, who will introduce. This is a good friend of mine and also our Microsoft partner for retail and CPG, Sarah Andrekovich, who maybe I'll let you introduce yourself briefly and the work you do.
Sure. Sarah Andrekovich, nice to meet you all. I'm here based out of New York City. I am our industry, retail, and consumer brand lead. I lead our marketing and product innovation practice. So glad to be here.
Amazing. And what a great segue. Just looking at everything that Pepkor has been able to accomplish and the foundation that they've built, it's kind of a perfect segue into Agentic, because you can imagine, obviously we've spent the whole day talking about how you need the data to be able to move towards an AI future. Obviously we've got the data. You're sitting at Microsoft, probably one of the most important companies at the intersection of the AI roadmap today. Number one, can you unpack for us sort of a Microsoft point of view on what is Agentic? And then, I know no one loves to predict really far into the future, but can you look into a crystal ball from what you see and tell us what you think the future looks like?
Yeah. So I'll start with a definition. I think the easiest way I, in a laywomen's term, can articulate is AI gives you answers, agents are the doers. And when with agents, there's a maturity of those agents who are reasoning, who are planning, and who are taking action on your behalf. And so you're going to have a myriad or an ecosystem of these digital employees working within your organization with your human employees. And we like to look at this as more of a 10-year maturity arc than really a switch overnight. You don't build an organization in a day. Agents equally you cannot build in a day. So we like to look at that strategy and the maturity of that. Where I'd say the vision is going, so we at Microsoft have what we call a work trend index, and the way that we define the vision of Microsoft in the future is in frontier firms. And what we mean by that is that every marketer is going to be a boss, an agent boss. And so what does an agent boss do? Well, they direct, they provide guidance, they give strategy, they give guardrails. Just as you would manage a team, you're now managing a hybrid workforce of digital and human employees. And what we like to say is you're still leading and owning the output of that work. So you're also responsible for managing the agents and what data is provided to them, the context that it's given, and how you continue to train and elevate what they do. And so really, as you think about the progression of the future of frontiers, that eventually organizations will adopt a myriad and kind of this hybrid organization. And we also call this what we'll say like human in the lead is the best way to put it. So back, I think, to what you were saying is our agents going to replace my role? In current context, possibly they'll replace tasks. They might replace workflows, but all you're going to be doing is elevating your team to be doing more at scale. So what agents provide is that scalability without incremental resourcing. And I think that's incredibly valuable to the frontier organization. And so what's the gap today? I think what we're seeing is most folks are still treating it as AI as an assistant, which we'll consider phase 1, all the way through to phase 3, where folks are taking action or agents are taking action on your behalf. And that's okay. I think the good news there is that there's a payout at every phase. So you're stacking the value as you go, and so you're getting value from day 1 and not, coming at year 10. And so that's how we kind of look at the future of work.
Yeah, I mean the potential productivity gains are kind of amazing. And you look at an example. I mean, we could take any of these examples. Like take the printer ink example. It's very clear that you're sitting at a business strategic enough to be able to make big moves, but you only have so many people. And so I would imagine that Agentic for you all lets you take that creativity and you can just exponentialize what's possible. Unpack that for me. Like now that you've done this foundational work, how are you starting to prepare or even deploy Agentic within Pepkor?
So, I mean, it's a six-step answer, but I want you to listen to how many of these steps are involving people and processes and how few of them actually involve tech. So, I mean, the way that we've defined it is firstly building our data foundation. And as you can probably hear from the previous presentation, we've done a good job over there. Then we're scaling our agnostic enterprise architecture. That's really the phase we're in at the moment. Teaching analytic abilities to our staff, because it's one thing to have access to data and to have access to agents. It's another thing to know how to prompt them correctly and to understand their responses in the context of your business questions. An agent is only as good as the prompt it receives. Then democratizing data access and agent creation. We don't want these things to sit in silos anymore. We don't want people to be asking a question of a data scientist or an external team and then waiting for days or weeks for an answer that may or may not be useful to them in their individual use case. We need to have that data democratized. Then after that, we're aligning individual KPIs with technology output. Right? So we want to make sure that you have KPIs in your job profile related to your use of agents and AI to make to be better at your job. Then we're testing and refining. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, is it safe to continue? Our candle's going to come on.
The agents didn't like the answer and they cut us off.
And the final point of the strategy is how we're testing and refining our security and privacy procedures. It's one thing to say that we want data democratized. It's another thing to say that we trust the people and the destinations that are going to be using it and that they're going to keep our business safe. So this whole process is a lot less about the tech strategy and a lot more about the processes and people that are involved, because that's actually where the big change needs to happen.
Yeah. You teased us a little bit with agentic commerce. First of all, what is it to you? And then what are you doing?
So, I mean, the basic idea of it is that we're going to be selling goods to agents instead of people in the near future. And that's really exciting, because agents don't process or use or decide on data in the same way that human beings do, and it's going to represent an enormous opportunity for us. You've probably heard in the previous presentation that we really value being first movers and innovators in our market, because we've seen that we can make additional sales and win additional customers from our competitors when we do so. So we're going to have to change the entire data foundation of our business, and we're also going to change the way in which we market. By the data foundation, I mean the way that the web is currently built. So almost any website that you access right now is built in 3 different layers: a content layer, an interaction layer, and a transaction layer. The content layer is the stuff that you see on the front end, the nice images, the pretty pictures. The interaction layer or middleware are things like search, navigation, filters, cart, etc. And the transaction layer is identity, delivery, and payment service providers. Now, customers are used to interacting with this, and they're used to waiting for a couple of seconds for these layers to talk to each other as they complete their purchase process. An agent will not be nearly as patient, and as a result, websites in their current form will slow agents down and irritate them. So what we need to build is a single machine-readable data layer that can provide agents with every single insight or piece of data that they need to make a purchase decision. And the things that they're going to do are going to be pretty similar to what humans do. They need to understand what product is being sold. They need to be able to compare this to different retailers or different options. They need to decide on a product to purchase, and then they need to be able to transact, which includes paying. So we need to make all of this data accessible to them so that they can do this within milliseconds and transact with us. And we know that if we do that, we'll have a competitive advantage over our competitors who will do so more slowly. The second point of it is that we have to change the way that we market. Marketers in here will remember the bugbear that SEO was when it originally came out, and how we were all stuffing web pages with metadata to try and make them relevant to customers' search terms. The way that agents consume data is different to the way that humans would in search engines. They consume data on an attribute basis. They understand a need state that a human being who's putting in the prompt has. So they will understand that this human has a child who has a birthday party, or is a student who's studying late at night, or is a pet owner that needs dog food. And the attributes around those products are going to help those agents make decisions on what to recommend much more efficiently than metadata or front-end content will. So we need to create an additional layer of agent-readable attributes that will match their queries so that our products rank more frequently in agents and that they can buy them more easily.
I was just going to add to that. I feel like we've switched roles. You're talking about the tech and the capabilities, and I'm about to pull it back into what does this mean for leaders? Because we talk to CMOs, CDOs, COOs often, and I think the question becomes, in my mind, the way I describe it, it's a new channel. And so what's the potential of this new channel in driving sales? And just like you create a channel strategy and you articulate what the value proposition is for your products to be sold and what your online versus your store strategy looks like, same goes for your agentic world. He's talking about how do you enable the agentic world, which I think everybody might as well get started with brand agents on their own website if you haven't already, or at least explore that, or even conversational search on your own website. But I think back to human in the lead, there's still a strategy on what kind of organization do you set up to enable agentic. I think agentic still doesn't know its place in most organizations. And the question is, well, where's the value? What is the sales contribution that's going to come from this net new channel? And so those are still the same questions you have back when we were debating over COVID. Is it online? What the percentage of online sales would eventually be? I think we're still in that kind of evolution phase with agentic commerce. And so that's what the leaders are more or less grappling with today.
Yeah, I love that. And you kind of have another piece of this, which is also the change management piece. Like we're talking about sophisticated concepts and making it feel simple because we're just in a room dialoguing, but actually there's hundreds, if not thousands of people at these organizations, right, that need to be able to somehow operate and make these transformations, whether it's around the way we use customer data, the way that we interact in commerce. And it's not lost that asking all of those people to log into 1,000 tools is probably not the answer to quick change management. We need to make this simple, which is, I think, one of the missions certainly of Microsoft. So if we sort of maybe take it to you, Sarah, and we think about the world of Microsoft and tools like Copilot, I think a lot of people here saw the demo this morning of how in Impaired you might be able to integrate with some of the Microsoft products. But broadly, let's take Copilot, which will fall down if it doesn't have either the right data, the data's ungoverned, or if the quality's not there. Like, how do you think about the world of Microsoft as an interface, but also maybe with Imperity or other tools, accessing the right data to make people's workflows simpler?
Well, I feel like this is going to be my pitch to Devin, who mentioned Gemini and AWS, but no Microsoft. So we'll see how this works. This is it. No, I think Microsoft as a whole, Copilot is what we call your UI for AI. We don't like to take every function out of its own kind of user interface. And so when you talk, and I lead our marketing practice, so I'll use Adobe as an example. Your creatives are going to sit within the Adobe ecosystem. That's where they naturally operate. The majority of your enterprise colleagues are going to be sitting in what we call Copilot, which is your chat interface. And so for Microsoft, we are platform organizations. We aren't a model. Let's call it model provider. The point being, models will evolve over the next decade or two. We are not here to tell you which one is better. We're here to give you the optionality and to be able to surface those models, those agents, those AI answers within one user interface so that you're not going to, let's call it on your phone, multiple different apps to do your work. And what that enables you to do as an individual gives you productivity, but what that then enables is the cross-functional workflows that you were talking about. So if you're asking Copilot for your customer segment, or give me what are my top sellers in certain markets, you can pull that into a PowerPoint and be prepared for your QBR or your Monday meeting. And the idea is that you're all doing that with one face. So that's Microsoft's view on the potential. And so partners like Imperity will have what we call MCPs, but plugins to that so that you can get access to their apps and their capabilities and their data, most importantly. And then within Microsoft, you're surrounded by the security, the governance, and the contextualization. We've got tools, and I'm not going to go into the nuances, but Fabric and IQ, which theoretically it layers in all of this data. It orchestrates it across not just your CDP, but your DAM and your CRM tools. We're not replacing those either. And then you're giving your access to that data. So the term democratization of that data, as long as it's the right data to surface, and being able to activate against that. So I like to call it BI to DI with AI, which is essentially you're not, let's call it drowning in your business insights dashboards. You're now working with decision intelligence, which is active and real time and dynamic, and then exportable into whatever tool you need.
I mean, that's amazing because you're getting a bunch of things at the same time. You're getting all the governance that you want, the ability to distribute into the organization, but you're getting simplicity in terms of workflows. Like we all know how to log into Teams and use its chat or to use Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. So the idea of integrating work, I mean, that's so powerful. Yeah.
Said beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, I guess well, I don't know. Deb, that was the pitch.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Are you buying?
I'm getting attacked from both sides here.
Answer now. I think I have another question on the spot that I'm sure everyone is wondering. We just saw the example use case, which did raise my eyebrows in South Africa about the hijacking of trucks. Heard you loud and clear that creates a customer success issue. Are the truck drivers okay?
Yeah, most of the time.
Everyone wants to know. Yeah.
Remember what I said about character.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I think we've got a little bit of time for QA. If there are questions for Dev, for Sarah. Going once, going twice. Yeah. Oh, hold on one sec. Yeah.
What are the friction points you're seeing in driving that BI to DI using AI? I really like the punchline. Friction points from like a use case perspective and friction at different levels. Like if you could shed some light.
Yep. I think we have different tierings of process or workflow. So we often talk about the overall, we'll call it the workflow, the level 1, the level 2 being the tasks associated with those workflows, and the level 3 being the, well, let's just talk level 1 and level 2 because those are the ones that matter. I think most organizations don't have a clear understanding of what their current state flows look like. So what I've been advising most of my customers, and we're actually doing this in real time, for our next fiscal is how do we, now that we have access to some of these AI capabilities, how do we reimagine our engagement with customers? And I think it comes down to what does current state look like and truly mapping that at each of the levels, because then what we can do is we can apply AI on top of that and say where are the biggest friction points just based on your current state, and then it becomes a dialogue. So it gives you, you're not working with a white paper, and everybody's gonna have their own friction points at different levels of that tiering. So how do you create a common language for everyone to articulate what it is, those friction points? I call them stage gates. So what are your stage gates within every workflow? And what are the decisions you're trying to make? And what data are you trying to make it with? And then that's how you start to define kind of the AI tooling you'll need within that. And then what pain points or problems you're solving for. Yeah. Yes. So I think starting with your current state and also an understanding of what tooling is currently used. I think most organizations do not have that written down in depth. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think a couple of key takeaways then, and thank you so much. I think you saw from Devin the call to action that getting your customer data foundation right and getting it right upstream enough in your architecture that it can really impact your whole enterprise in all the places that require customer data really is the future. You can see the impact that Pepkor is now making by having that foundation. Their readiness and ability to now speed towards Agentic is pretty incredible. You've heard from Sarah that while we're in the current phase of Agentic that is really more about AI for assistance, that we're moving very quickly to a place where agents are going to help us scale the work that we're able to do. And there's new tooling coming out to make this easier than ever to be able to distribute access to data into an organization and to make it simple for people to be able to use data in their jobs in a way that's never been possible before. So story is pretty clear. And thank you so much, obviously, for your partnership. Thank you for flying all the way here from South Africa. And thanks to all of you. Yeah.